Hey, back here at Toxic Race Scandal. Got another toxic topic for you guys today. We're going to talk about did you know how the World Heavyweight Championship declined? And this will be the NWA Championship belt of the National Wrestling Alliance. So, everyone that's here, was coming here on playback from Facebook and YouTube, hit like, share, subscribe as you're coming through the ropes. We are going to discuss how this World Heavyweight Championship has declining moments in history of the National Wrestling Alliance. That's what this video will be about. When the World Heavyweight Championship went into ruins. This will be regarding the championship. Thank you all for coming out tonight. We'll discuss two different scenarios regarding this World Heavyweight Championship and the scenarios that happened behind it and all of that stuff regarding it and what caused that to happen. So before we get into it, I'll show you the designs of the AWA World Heavyweight Championship. This is the original design and it's the current design. Now, for those you don't know, it's not even called the World Heavyweight Championship no more. After 2016, it became known as the World's Heavyweight Championship. And this is the other design, the most famous one, the most iconic one that was used while in World Championship Wrestling, still NWA with the partnership, the big gold belt. That is the other design of that championship that happened. So, that being said, we will get into it and talk about these two different situations regarding this championship. Let's get into it. So, let's talk about the championship. We'll talk about the first story. The first story will be described. It's going to be early days, back in the early days of the National Wrestling Alliance. It will be talked about the two world champions. Now, the one on the left is, if I pronounce right, Eduardo Carpentier, and the other guy is Luthez, as I described at the red carpet ring regarding the top ranked NWA World Champions. And this is the whole story behind this. Eduardo Carpentier had defeated Luthez for the World Heavyweight Championship title on June 14, 1957 in Chicago, when Thez was disqualified for refusing to wrestle for the third fall, which was a 2-out-of-3 falls match due to a back injury. Now, Thez had defeated Carpentier on July 24th in Montreal when Carpentier was qualified. According to a local paper, however, Carpentier was backed by the NWA president at the time, Sam Muchnick, if I said that correctly, as world champion, but both wrestlers continued to claim the title. So that's controversy right there within itself, due to, it was a disqualification for Luthez, and then both wrestlers had to claim the title, as one was backed by the other. Now it says here that Muchnick invited Jack Pfeiffer, a controversial promoter, to the annual convention in St. Louis in '57. This led to Paul Bowser and Eddie Quinn, who's also Carpenter's manager, to resign from the NWA. Eddie Quinn, at this convention, he withdrew Carpenter's NWA title claim, and NWA voted all recognition of Carpentier as world champion on August 25th, 1957. Paul Bowser and Joe Duzek and Carl Eaton subsequently recognized Carpenter as the champion to legitimate the lineage of the world titles. If you look at this article here, it says Carpenter tumbles past the S2 title, but Carpenter was backed by NWA champion there. So this is the story regarding this. It was Carpentier and it was Luthez. So because of what happened in the match between those gentlemen, that Carpentier Championship was null and void. Some territories had recognized him as champion, while others didn't. He was still Bill's champion, but he wasn't. So this was a big scandal. One of the first scandals regarding the NWA Championship, as Lou Thesz and Eduardo Carpentier, they both had rightful claim to the NWA Championship, and because of the whole situation where the NWA disclaimed Eduardo because he grabbed his managers and they got one of the guys to resign from NWA, his title was not claimed as a world champion. And if you look at the record books, he's not really had a rightful claim to the NWA Championship. And that's sad. That's crazy to hear because Lou Thesz got disqualified because he didn't want to wrestle. It seemed like they was playing politics and favoritism towards Lou Thesz because it seemed like Lou Thesz was kind of a bully, because I know he had the same situation with Buddy Rogers regarding the NWA Championship, and before Buddy Rogers became the WWE inaugural WWE champion. It sounds like the same similar situation here. It's always Lou Thesz's name, and I think what happened was they wanted Eduardo Carpentier to back down, and he did not back down. And he even went got his managers involved, and got legal action. And they got one guy to resign, but the NWA, they retaliated, and they had Carpentier title reign not count in the record books. So that was a big scandal. That's one of the first big scandals regarding the NWA Championship. And National Wrestling Alliance, for you guys don't know, they're pretty much the main hub for wrestling. NWA, before WWE has worked with them, WCW, TNA, before it's called Impact. AEW even has worked with them too, as long as guidelines for type of matches. Most of these wrestling companies that exist today, and ECW as well, most of them have worked with the NWA, no matter what territory, what promotion is. ECW, WCW, WWE, TNA, AEW, AWA, whether they exist or don't exist, they have worked with the NWA first. They have the rightful claim. If you want to make a world championship or promotion, you have to go through NWA first. And that's what everybody went through. And if you notice, they don't do a partnership with NWA for long. They pay them money to get the championship, but they don't do a partnership with these guys long. And it's just not a good partnership. And it seems like NWA do some very bogus stuff on the side with these other wrestling companies. So I can see why some of these companies don't want to deal with them. And it's just crazy. It's just the way they treat some of these wrestling companies. I'm not saying these other wrestling companies like WWE don't try to do shady stuff too, but they basically say NWA, if you want to get through them, that you got to acknowledge them.
The whole world will acknowledge me.
They want you to acknowledge them when it comes to NWA. They are the main hub to go to when it comes to creating a wrestling promotion, championships. And if you want your company to succeed and make it through the territories of the industry, you have to go through NWA first. Now, that's the first story regarding the NWA, of how the championship has some decline. Now, we'll discuss a bigger story right now, and we're going to talk about the WCW Ric Flair's Real World Championship controversy explained. Now, this happened many years later in a different championship design, which I showed, was the big gold belt. It says here, one of the most shocking moments in wrestling history, Ric Flair, the NWA World Champion, joins the WWF at the time and brings the big gold belt with him. So, it said before '91, before joining WWF, he was the NWA, WCW, which is Ric Flair is known for. Most of his championship runs are run through the NWA. Now, They said that he had issues with NWA. Now so it was the most shocking moment in history. Ric Flair brought the big gold belt onto WWE television, and Bobby Heenan, one of the best matches in history, he proclaimed that this was the real world championship, and the real world heavyweight champion was Ric Flair, coming to the WWE, WWF at the time. He had left WCW and joined them. He brought that championship with him. So Bobby Heenan came to TV and he was in '91 and he held that championship. And it was of course, the big gold belt. And people were not expecting to see that on TV. And that was very shocking at the time. So this was a really crazy story. And they say, why did Ric Flair join the WWE at that time? Now, there was a big controversy regarding the belt. Um, he said Ric Flair did the interview in 2004 with MediaMan.com. He said he blamed it on the WCW booker Jim Herd. He said, in his words, and I quote, Jim Herd is the total reason I left. He had a lot to do with the destruction and bankruptcy of the company. 10 years before it did bankrupt, he will go down as the biggest idiot of all time. It was nothing I did. You know, you have a right to protect yourself. It came about over $25,000, which is the deposit for the big gold belt, the NWA championship that was also in WCW. As I explained earlier, with their partnership, it was one of many companies to do a partnership with the NWA. There was a time in my life when I thought I was invincible. I knew I was the best at what I did. I never thought myself better than other people in any other way. Apart from the wrestling, where I knew I was the best wrestler alive, and I can't even argue with that. During the 80s and early 90s, Ric Flair was a top premier talent, one of the best ever. Now, it says here that he was the NWA World Champion, and his WCW contract was running out. Back then, the NWA World Heavyweight Champions had to put up a $25,000 security deposit to the NWA Board of Directors as a statement that they would not leave the company with the belt. That's crazy because Ric Flair left with the belt anyway. That's the crazy part about that. Now, his situation was slightly different as stated in this article. He had personally, with his own money, paid for the creation of the new NWA's World Championship, which in essence the big gold belt. Instead of paying the deposit, because it was roughly the same amount of money. So instead of putting down a $25,000 deposit, excuse me, he paid out of his own pocket $25,000 to help create a brand new belt. And they said his since he paid for that belt, he helped pay for it, and he was leaving the company. That was his property, and of course, the whole situation with Jim Hurt. Now he started appearing on television, of course, the real world champion, even above Hulk Hogan. But WCW was forced to strip Ric Flair of the title, even though the belt was still in his possession, and they had to create a new physical championship to continue the lineage of the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. And for you those who don't know, it was the blue model of the WCW belt, the blue and silver one. It's an ugly belt, but it was nothing like the gold one. They had to do that to help create that belt. So that's just crazy that that happened. Matter of fact, I can actually pull that up now for you guys. We pull that up. So I'm going to show you guys a little share the screen of what this looks like. So That is a picture of, sorry, that is a picture of the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. That was the design that was made and created due to Ric Flair taking the physical big gold belt with him. So as you can see, that design looks nothing like, nowhere near as good as capacity of the big gold belt. It's the design that Big Van Vader held, Ron Simmons, and other wrestlers. So that is the design that they were referring to in that article. So I just wanted to show you guys that real quick. That's how it looks. And let's get back to the main article. So that being said, now there was a legal battle that ensued due to Ric Flair doing this. They said that with the NWA World Championship appearance on TV, legal threats started flying. The WCW accused the WWF of stealing their title, having Ric Flair the world champion, a big star, jump ship to WWF. It was a major embarrassment for Jim Herd, and now his company's world championship belt was on his rival's TV show, which of course they were not pleased with this, and this was something that had not been done on TV. Also, when he left WCW, he asked for $25,000 back. Jim Herd outright refused, as Flair stated in the article. When I asked for my money back, he said, "F you in the belt." Herd was so arrogant that he just said F the belt. Those were his ways of talking. He thought that he was a tough guy, and I said, it's not F me, it's F you. Watch for the belts next Monday. So Ric Flair took that belt with him on TV because he didn't get his $25 back. And it was not a deposit, as I say earlier in the article. It was to help create the world title, a brand new world championship. So that's shady of Jim Herd, the WCW president, holding the NWA World Championship. He said, I called Vince and I said, I'll come to the WWE as champion if you want me to be. I sent the belt to WWE and Bobby Heenan took it out on TV the next week. And you know that before we get further, you know that when Ric Flair did that, that stroked Vince McMahon's ego. That made him look good. And it basically said, they basically had a mutual understanding, Ric Flair and Vince McMahon, that they were sticking to WCW and the heritage of the NWA title. And as that being said, since Ric Flair did that, now you guys can see why he won the 1992 Royal Rumble and he got the WWF Championship. And I believe that's the real reason why he won the WWF Championship at the time, because not because he was not a WWE original, because he embarrassed WCW and NWA by bringing that World Championship on television. With that being, and it embarrassed that company, but it made WWF look good. But even though there were, there's consequence of that with the legal battles, and you see they don't do that today at all. So it's crazy. That was a wild, wild situation. And I heard about that happening. I don't remember watching that growing up, but I do remember him having a big old belt on TV. That had never been done before. That we hear about the Medusa situation, bringing the women's world title on WCW, throwing trash. But I believe that because of that situation where Ric Flair did, that's one reason why they did the Montreal Screwjob to Bret Hart. They feared that Bret Hart was going to bring the WWE Championship on WCW television, because Ric Flair did it back in 1991, years prior. It was WCW's championship with the NWA partnership brought over to the WWF TV. So since Vince did that to somebody else, he feared it would happen to him. But that is the situations regarding, did you know of how the World Heavyweight Championship declined? There's two situations when the championship did decline in that matter. It was not for the good. Of course, in 1957 with Eduardo Carpentier and Luthez. Later on in 1991 with Ric Flair with the big gold belt, bring that on WWF television, and not because he wanted to do that, because he would not receive his $25,000 deposit. I mean, I'm sorry, it's $25,000 that he paid to help create that brand new championship. As the rules state, they normally do a deposit as champion, but he was not depositing for that championship. He helped create it. Since he paid for it, he brought it with him, and he did not receive his money back once he was leaving WCW to WWE. And Jim Herd, the president, was upset that Flair was leaving, and he refused to give his money back. So it was just crazy situation behind this NWA, championship over the years. So all these championships had a scandal. This is what it's about: is scandals, controversy, drama. It's just one thing after another with that championship. But that big gold belt was one of the biggest thing to happen next to the screw job. It was bringing a world title on television. That was the first time that happened. And unfortunately, it made that's when WCW started declining. And that's when the NWA championship started declining because it was getting embarrassed on TV. It was embarrassed with the whole disqualification with Luthez. Now this happened, and today, if you look, the NWA World Heavyweight Championship is called today. It has no type of credibility. Nobody respects that championship anymore. The guy that holds the championship today named Tyrus. For those who don't know who Tyrus is, he's Brodus Clay that was in WWE from the Funkadelics, dancing, shoving and jiving like a fool. He is the NWA World Champion, and that's what the champion has become. It is a joke. No respect on his name at all, and it's just sad. And that's facts. What I'm saying, because
And that's not a prediction. That's a spoiler.
yes, it is a spoiler of how much of a joke that title has become in its current day. But I thank you guys for coming out. That's all I have regarding the subject. Did you know how the World Heavyweight Championship declined? Dating back from the NWA Championship in 1957 to 1991 with the big gold belt appearing on WWTV. Now, you guys in the comment section or in the live chat, let me know what you think of this whole situation regarding the World Heavyweight Championship decline. Do you agree, disagree, or are you neutral on the whole thing? I will head out soon, but
World Heavyweight Champion!
now, before this stream ends, there will be two videos that pop up. It will be regarding controversy, scandal, drama, backstage fights, interviews, quotes, anything regarding stuff that happens behind the curtain of wrestling. And you guys check that out. Let me know what you think of it. We'll continue to do the weekly streams here. We'll do another controversy behind another world title or mid-card title for that matter. But until then, it is OUT.